Welcome to Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Las Vegas Metro Chamber. On the broadcast today, former State Senator Patricia Farley for the whole show on the all-new Nevada Newsmakers.
All systems check. All right, Sam, let's go check out some D&D roof.
Hey, Ken. From up here, you can really tell the difference a quality D&D roof makes.
You're right, Sam. With our experience, knowledge, and staff, nothing compares to a D&D roof. Hey,
look down there. It's our D&D roofing crew.
I'll bank the plane so you can get a closer look. Sam! You watch your company's bottom line, and I'll cover the top of it.
Retail's impact on Nevada's economy? Enormous. 8,600 businesses, large and small, employing 145,000 workers. And last fiscal year, retail paid tax on nearly $60 billion in sales. We're the Retail Association of Nevada. We support retail, we help it grow, and we mean business.
RANNV.org.
Take a look at Pro Group Management and see how your workers' comp requirements can be met head-on. By taking a proactive approach, Pro Group can assure that your company is meeting or exceeding state and federal standards. As you move forward in your industry, Pro Group moves with you, simplifying regulatory tasks, clearing the way so you can get the job done and look to your future success. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Early in the morning or throughout the night, professional truck drivers are on the job, serving you, safely moving freight that's crucial to our economy. From the oldest industries to our newest innovators, from the exotic to the everyday, trucks are everywhere, moving everything. Never afraid to embrace a future that makes Nevada and our nation stronger. Trucking moves America forward.
This is Nevada Newsmakers with host Sam Shad on No Holds Barred Political Forum. Now, from the Nevada Newsmakers broadcast headquarters, here is Sam Shad.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, coming to you from the Las Vegas Metro Chamber of Commerce. And we're pleased to be joined once again by Patricia Farley. She's the former state senator. Pleasure to have you back on the program.
Happy to be back. Thanks, Sam.
So for those that may not know, just want to give you a little history here. So not in this most recent session, but in the previous session, you were a Republican state senator. You gave up being a Republican, became an independent, and caucused with the Democrats. That led to some interesting court battles. It was you and now Majority Leader Nicole Cannizzaro and Joyce Woodhouse. You guys prevailed in that court battle. Did you have any idea at the time that Nicole Cannizzaro was going to end up being the Majority Leader?
None at all. I think everybody was shocked at the events in the beginning of this legislative session that led to her becoming the Majority Leader, but I think they couldn't have picked a better person. She's a great lady and smart, and I think she did a good job for being a freshman senator in her second term, in her first year, our first term as a senator, and I think she did a great job. It
was interesting, though. You had Steve Yeager, who was promoting the criminal justice reform bill, on one side of things, trying to open things up with the solid backing of Justice Hardesty. And then the leader looked at the bill and said, there are a lot of things in here that I have to look at. And so it got watered down a lot. What were your thoughts on, is there a schism opening up in the Democratic Party between more moderate Democrats and people further to the left?
What I think was interesting is you have lawyers, all of them are lawyers, on two sides of an issue who live in those worlds every day. You got the district attorney's office, and then you've got the criminal defense side. Both of them understand their scopes pretty well. I think what there needs to be is more discussion and balance. Because I believe Nicole Cannizzaro and Jason Frierson both know how the laws currently work when they're trying to uphold justice and keep criminals in line. And I think there probably just needed to be more discussion. So hopefully what I'd like to see is the issue evolve versus become a divider amongst everybody, not just amongst the Democrats.
Well, what was interesting was, first of all, this was a 2-year study that led to the bill originally. But what was strange was the people that did the study ended up hiring a lobbyist to come and advocate on behalf of this law, Was that a strange situation?
I think a lot of strange stuff happens in in the lawmaking process. So for that, it kind of, I think it sets people back a little bit to understand what is your benefit out of these reforms if you felt so necessary to come in and hire a lobbyist. But overall, what I got from just watching it as an outsider was you have some really smart people on both sides of this issue who live this issue daily in their non-political lives. And what I thought was there wasn't enough discussion before they made it a public event, or they weren't prepared for how all the issues that were going to come out of this public discussion. So it kind of, I thought, boy, that one should have been talked about much and vetted by both sides much further.
Do you think that people really weren't aware, because there's so many new people, of the limits of a 120-day session, how short that period of time really is?
Yeah, and it's surprising to me now to listen to people that they don't understand. They get so frustrated by the outcomes of the legislative session, but they don't really realize it's 120 days, but it's actually 88 working days. And we're a huge state with billions of dollars in budget issues, and everything that happens on a national level happens here in our state, and yet we're still running it like the 1950s or the 1960s, where we're a couple 100,000 people. We don't have a major marketplace. And so I think people get very frustrated, but they don't realize, one, we don't pay our legislators. We pay them, but we pay them for half the session. We barely pay them. We barely give them enough money, and in most cases not enough to go up there. And then they get upset at the result, or they mock the legislator for not handling the session better. But how would you handle that? If I ran my business that way, where all of a sudden I only did work 88 days out of 120 days every other year, I'd be out of business.
So what's the fix? Because, you know, Nevada is so conservative fiscally, at least in the population base, let's say, that they have shied away from wanting to have annual sessions. But we have problems that need to be resolved in less than 2 years, and the interim committees are not able to do it.
So I think the more moderate on both sides need to come out and have a stronger voice. So to me, I pay the sales tax, I pay the MBT because I am a business owner, I also pay the commerce tax. And what I'm not getting is a result for the money I'm putting into the system per se, right? So to me, I look at it and say, I'm paying for a job, and that's a well-run, well-funded government. So what do we need to do to have that? Because that's the ill, or that's the cause of all the ills: education, mental health, homelessness. We're not addressing those issues, and we're asking people on a very part-time basis to fix it. And it's never going to happen. So to me, it's a full-time job. We should be electing full-time state legislators. We should have them have one master, which is the state where they get their check from, right? And then not worried about trying to keep a roof over their head and their family fed, plus do the political service, the political career and or public service, whichever one they're kind of going down that road. But I think as a state, we have got to get to the point and realize our issues are complex. They require someone to pay full-time attention to them, and we require smart answers to the problems that are just continuing to get worse here.
All right, so when you were in the legislature, obviously these kind of conversations went on in terms of trying to get a full-time legislature. How far did they go? How far were people willing? Because, you know, I would imagine if I were a legislator, if I were a politician, and thank God I'm not, that I would be concerned that promoting the idea of a full-time legislature would almost guarantee that I'd be primaried and I'd be out by the next election.
So, and that's where I think we need to do a better job of electing people who tell us what they believe and not what they're worried about in their next election. So in 2015, the Tick Segerblum brought the issue up, and it was heard in a committee that I chaired. And I thought, this is brilliant, because now here I am for the first time ever in politics, sitting in a legislative session going, oh my gosh, I can't believe anybody thinks this is a plausible solution to the problems that we have, because technically half of our session was spent fixing what we did 2 years ago, or what happened 2 years ago when legislation was rushed through then. So you got 88 days, now you spent 44 of those trying to fix what you did 2 years ago, so now you really technically focused 44 days on going forward. So that was in 2015, it was with the Republicans. The Republicans are very worried about that, mostly up north, where things are the economy is very different. Now, Reno is growing, and they're starting to feel some Vegas pain, so we might see some change up north in the feeling about, wait a second, we need to get people represented in government, because when we only meet every other year for 88 days technically, your voice is limited. Your representation is limited. What you've got now is a very powerful governor's office and a very powerful judiciary, but the citizen piece of that is missing. And so once people start to figure that out, and you get Reno, where they're growing and they're becoming this mega monster economy, which is fantastic, we might see more voices from the north joining with the south and saying, okay, let's just get it right. Let's not worry about the evils of having a full-time legislature, which they think that laws will change constantly. That won't happen.
Well, you raise an interesting point, but I mean, I'll give you a counterpoint to it, which is that we are seeing the power shifting constantly now to the south. Mm-hmm. And I think that in the next few years, if it's not already occurring, that people are going to be looking at Reno and Carson City the same way they look at Ely or Elko, because there will be no power, there will be so little representation from those areas. But the South has always had in the past trouble coalescing around their power base, but it's becoming stronger and stronger now. So don't you think that in the near future that it would be up to the Southern Nevada legislators to make that decision whether the North likes it or not?
Well, I think that dynamic could happen, but I am also going to go back and talk about the growth in the Reno and up north. I mean, you're picking up major companies that are coming in there, primarily kind of moving from Northern California into Reno. There's a power base that's growing there that I think will have to be heard, because they will be contributing more and more to our overall state budget. So I do see Reno growing in importance, and the north growing.
You know what strikes me from what you just said there, and this is going to strike you, I think, as funny, which is I don't think the power is going to be at the legislature as much as it is from the business and the funding that they put towards the lobbying process, etc., rather than the legislators themselves being the power brokers.
I think that's already happened. I mean, you see a lot of the
blockchain bills, for example.
But look at the agendas that come in before the legislature has even started its session, right? The agendas are pretty much hashed out. That every legislature, whoever's in power, knows what's going to happen. They just spent a year and a half coming up with that agenda, and a lot of that is meeting with lobbyists who represent business. Now, there are really good legislators that do that and meet with child welfare and other advocacy groups that represent the citizenry without lobbyists, but the majority of it is who's spending money on the session. Well,
an interesting point, but I would also point out that before term limits, you had people like Bill Raggio, Randolph Townsend, Joe Dini, Barbara Buckley, who were not going to be totally influenced by outside forces, that they were there, they understood the process, they ran the process, and people came to them rather than, came to them and said, this is what you will do. Yeah. They were the leaders.
So what I think I've seen, and again, I was in there in 15, but the ethics and the morality and the individual constitutions of those who are elected and then move into leadership. So leadership is about money, donations, the ability to get people elected, those types of things, and that all comes from campaign contributions, and with campaign contributions comes a certain level of understanding, right? And that's not to say that the leaders currently out there are beholden to lobbyists. I'm just saying that they obviously have ears, of those leaders. I also think the political maneuvering and the shenanigans have gotten so bad that I don't think the Bill Raggios and the Barbara Buckleys really did the kind of stuff. They were more worried about how it looked. And I also think constituents were paying more attention. That if there was a blasphemous story in the newspaper about somebody acting inappropriately, people cared. I don't know that they care anymore. I think they're so tired of it on a national level, and on that even when it happens on a state level, they're like, maybe some people care, and others don't. Otherwise, you wouldn't have the goofiness that we saw with the recalls and some of the other like crazy legislation and the calling for us that we're having a sanctuary state and calling us California. None of that stuff is true. It just incites a couple of people, and it's deceiving. It's the wrong thing to do, but people aren't paying enough attention to call it out.
Well, and part of the problem here is the media, and let's talk about that part when we come back.
Okay.
And we'll be right back.
Tamarack Junction is South Reno's hotspot with over 450 of the latest slots and video games. Sully Sports Bar, the Dining Car Restaurant, William Hill Sportsbook, and the Tamarack Steakhouse and Lounge. We're just north of the Summit Mall in South Virginia. Yeah.
Ahern Rentals began as Signal Gas Station on Las Vegas Boulevard. Founder John Ahern grew the business by offering rentals. His son Don built on John's legacy, growing Ahern Rentals into the largest independently owned American rental company, with 89 locations in 30 states. Don also brought his experience and vision to equipment manufacturing with Extreme Manufacturing and Snorkel. Today, Ahern Rentals continues to bring its family values to a new generation. Learn more at ahern.com.
Hi, I'm Eric Robnett, owner of Home Energy Experts. Has this ever happened to you?
Honey, did you remember to turn down the thermostat?
Forgetting to set the temperature? Not fun. We can help. Our new smart thermostat keeps the temperature set for your comfort all by itself.
I'm feeling hot now.
To increase your comfort, go to homeenergyexperts.com for details. That's homeenergyexperts.com.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
The Tamarack Junction Steakhouse is known for signature steaks, handcrafted cocktails, and world-class wines. Join us Thursdays and Friday nights from 4:30 to 6:30 in the Steakhouse Lounge for live music, gourmet plates, and well-priced wines, just north of the Summit Mall on South Virginia.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue a very frank conversation with former State Senator Patricia Farley. So I wanted to point out the media's role in all of this because and this is no different than the media has been in the lifetime of the media, which is their job is to sell newspapers, get eyeballs watching television, have people listening to the radio, whatever it might be. And every media company, for example, in the country knows that if they don't cover Donald Trump, their numbers are going to go down. If they do cover Donald Trump, their numbers are going to go up. Mm-hmm. So starting from that point there, that we know that the media is doing its best at this point to survive and in some cases even thrive. So they're not really looking to tell the stories that that would benefit the public the most. They're looking to tell the stories that will get the most people to click on that particular link.
And I think in that pursuit, they've also lost the reasonable people who I won't even click on those links anymore. And I mean, I support shows like yours who are talking to people and asking the hard questions to get the information out. The Nevada Independent, the Nevada Current. It's where you get your news, and I think you're seeing more and more people leaving the traditional news source because I don't believe half of what's coming at me because it's like it's sensationalized and it told half the story and it was meant to make me feel a certain way versus news media organizations that's not really meant to make me feel anything. It's just meant to give me information so I can make a decision. And so I think that agenda with the media to get salacious stories and put them out there is actually losing middle America. And I think that's why Donald Trump is doing so well, is because middle America already has this sense of belief that mainstream media is telling me something salacious that I can't necessarily believe is all true, so he must be right.
Well, one of the other things too is that as against prior to term limits, now it seems that everybody is running for their next job rather than doing their current job. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and that's something to worry about because when you're running in an election, and this is not the politician's fault, this is the voters' fault. So if I make a hard decision and it's against my base, I lose my next primary. I can't count on the moderate or voter on both sides to say, hey, wait a second, that was a good decision. She's a good political person. I'm going to turn out and vote for her. What I got is an angry, incited 10%, because that's about what turns out in primaries. That's going to take me out of office.
If you're lucky.
If you're lucky, yeah. So it's their own parties who aren't controlling the quality of the candidates and the direction of the overall legislation that's to the benefit of Nevada. You got extremists on each side basically threatening their own people.
But now, with what you went through with this recall, I mean, if you'd have known that you were going to face that down the road, would you ever run?
Yeah, so I think I'm a different person because I don't have political aspirations. I'm never going to come to you and be like, hey, I'm going to be the next governor. I think I did the right thing. I feel like I can walk into a room and exit a room with my head held high.
No, I know, but I mean, if you had known what was going to happen down the road, would you ever run for in the first place for elective office?
So in a lot of ways, running for elected office was phenomenal. So when I announced that I was switching to nonpartisan, I had the Liberal Democrats, I had a lot of right-wing conservative Republicans, a lot of moderate, all contact me. Where I thought the next morning when I woke up it was going to be hellacious and people were going to be screaming from the mountaintops to get rid of her. It was 100% different, the response. But would I have undertaken knowing? Probably. I think I got a lot of stuff done, and I love working on the children's issues, foster care, the homeless children, hungry children in southern Nevada. It's opened up a tremendous amount of opportunities, but it's crazy. So for the average person, if you asked me today, knowing what I know, would I do it again? I'd probably find a different way to be successful in all those areas versus running for office.
All right, let's take one more break and we'll be back after this timeout.
Dimitri Prine here for Design Outdoor. At Design Outdoor, we specialize in all hardscapes, pavers, and walls you'll need for everything, from wonderful small yards to full-blown outdoor living. And we only refer the best contractors to make your vision a reality. Our store and backyard are located at 11600 South Virginia, just north of DeMonte Ranch Parkway. Visit designoutdoor.com or call us at 851-9499.
I'm men's rights attorney Marilyn York, and because I represent men in all family law matters, women often call me gender traitor, woman hater, and even disgusting. So why represent men and target myself with these offensive monikers? It's simple. Children with fathers in their lives are 6 times less likely to drop out of school, 15 times less likely to go to prison, and 5 times less likely to commit suicide. So ladies, you can hate me, but please love your children more than you hate their fathers.
Hi, I'm Dave Newman. Remember me? I used to be the house detective, and now I'm a realtor, full-time at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates. A lot of people ask me, how's the market? You know what? It's fantastic. If you're even kicking around the idea of buying or selling, give me a call. Let's talk about it. Call me at RE/MAX Realty Affiliates and just ask for the guy who used to be the house detective, Dave Newman.
The signs and symptoms of cataracts can start out small with subtle changes in your vision. So don't wait. Be proactive and take your vision into your own hands. If you're experiencing the onset of cataracts or just have questions, contact your eye care professional or call Eye Care Associates of Nevada today. Dr. Hiss has years of experience specializing in the surgical correction of eye disorders and has completed over 84,000 vision correcting procedures. At Eye Care Associates of Nevada, we'll change the way you look at the world.
This is Nevada Newsmakers.
And back on Nevada Newsmakers, we continue our conversation with former State Senator Patricia Farley. I know that child welfare was and continues to be one of your big issues. What are you working on now?
So I'm working as a board member with the Child Advocacy Alliance and also the board president for Serving Our Kids, which feeds 3,000 homeless and hungry children right here in Southern Nevada every week. Legislation that actually funds our DCSF program and funds the services to our children that are in foster care. So our Attorney General signed the state of Nevada onto the opioids lawsuit here this past week. There's so many children and families that are now part of the DCSF system and children that have been horribly neglected, abused, sex trafficked. The problem is severe. And yet that seems to be the budget area we continue to cut. And it seems a piece of legislation that we continue to ignore because our children can't hire expensive lobbyists.
Right.
Our children don't vote. And so what I'm going to do is continue to work with both of those organizations to empower the parents and the family members around them who do vote, who do have a little extra money to either lobby on their own or help us with lobbying efforts, because in a couple of years we're going to see that manifest as the next major social issue. Is we have all of these children who are coming through the system, who are ending up in group homes or on the streets or living off of family members' couches or friends' couches, or who are being sex trafficked because we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing as a state.
Are you working with Barbara Buckley from Legal Aid of Southern Nevada as part of this?
Yes, absolutely. So she is my hero and my champion on this issue. So is Nancy Seda, former justice, Supreme Court justice, and primarily through Child Advocacy Alliance on these issues. But we are, we're meeting over the summer to kind of talk about a repositioning to make sure that we have a session of the children next session, and that our issues and these kids' issues get heard and get addressed by our legislators.
Well, you always have a place to come and discuss this so we can get the word out on Nevada Newsmakers. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for
Great
having
show.
me.
Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
A bird's eye captures its surroundings at different heights. At Brian Culpa Photography, we can make your imagination soar over buildings, parks, cityscapes, and beyond. Brian's images tell the story and get the job done. If you need a new perspective to tell your story, contact Brian today. Brian Culpa Photography. Experience the bird's eye view at brianculpaphotography.com.
Hi, my name's Marilyn Miner, and I'm sure you'd agree that Nevada's a very special place to live. I was born here, and my husband and I have raised our family here. I feel it's a privilege to live and work in the Truckee Meadows. I especially enjoy helping my clients reach their real estate goals. Sometimes the smallest details provide the greatest satisfaction. I'd be complimented to talk to you about your next move.
Call Marilyn Miner at Dixon Realty, 742-1280, or log on to marilynminer.com.
St. Ives Florist, for every holiday and every special occasion. For romance. Custom home design. We have the largest selection of fresh flowers in northern Nevada. And we also offer a large selection of unique gift items. Come see me, Lori Ann, at St. Ives Florist, 700 South Wells Avenue, or call me at 333-9190.
Pro Group Management is the place where companies can find workers' comp solutions that are designed to meet their specific business requirements. As regulations evolve, Pro Group takes a proactive approach to clear the path to make sure your business stays ahead of the curve. Knowing your workers' comp program is optimized, you can focus on other important matters related to your growing business. Pro Group Management, workers' comp that works for you.
Our thanks to the Las Vegas Metro Chamber for hosting us, and always you can catch all of our shows at NevadaNewsmakers.com and on YouTube. We'll see you on the next broadcast.